Upon reaching the path of eternal processions on the other side of the dream, the penitent one learned much about the high wills and their brief interaction. In this video, we will analyze their encounter and reveal the true nature of the Supreme Trinity. Let us begin with the grievous miracle. We know that the miracle was essentially the word of the high wills, and that no miracle acted on its own accord, but was rather an extension of their desires and a manifestation of their sadistic nature. The first instance of this was the first miracle, the event that created the holy figure of Custodia known as the Twisted One, who would serve as a model and example for all to follow. The aptly named first miracle was the earliest documented instance of the high wills answering a prayer, which begs the question, did the high wills exist up until this point in silence, or were they manifested into existence due to the innate desire of man to worship? What we do know for certain is that the path of eternal processions is more ancient than the high wills themselves, meaning they did indeed have a finite point of origin. It's very likely that these beings were opportunistic forces that manifested themselves as deities so that they could feed off the guilt and sorrow of the citizens of Custodia. The miracle was the perfect medium for this, as it taught its followers that only supreme suffering could attain supreme absolution. On this twisted path of righteousness, many would fail or perish. After all, it is from the threads of dreams that the high wills were able to obtain light and time, and reside in a place higher reaching than the sky itself. In other words, the suffering and guilt of the congregation provided the high wills with the power of eternal life in a realm that could sustain their immortality. Interestingly enough, even the blinding light of the path of eternal processions was painful to the high wills, as evidenced by their endless stream of golden tears, and even more so when they questioned the penitent one to see if the light hurt his eyes. It's almost as if they didn't truly belong there, for if they did, they would likely not feel any discomfort. The high wills were a calculating trio that manipulated the most faithful of their flock to commit atrocious acts, all in an attempt to preserve their sadistic cycle of suffering and agony. This is precisely why they chose Chrysanta of the rapt agony to serve as the antithesis to the penitent one in his pilgrimage. For her penance was to sacrifice her vision, so no matter how close she was to the truth, she would never behold it, since the shackles that bound her to the high wills proved too difficult to sever. However, despite their alleged omnipotence, they never anticipated that anyone would achieve supreme suffering and bring the entirety of sin into their realm. In doing this, the penitent one had done the impossible and became the custodian of sin. Armed with the mea culpa in its true form, he would sever the ties that bound Chrysanta to the Supreme Trinity and end their reign of perpetual pain. The high wills accepted their defeat and cursed the penitent one for his transgressions. In the end, the high wills were silenced, and along with it, the grievous miracle. However, it would seem that the miracle was not exempt from this cycle of life, death, and rebirth, as it too would be reborn and take on a new form. But what new horrors would this version of the miracle bring? Only time will tell. And that's all for this video. Until next time, it's the Inhuman One signing out.